Halloween is the time of year that horror fans stick on the scariest of films and watch them, in part through their fingers. However, for those who hate horror films, October is a pretty difficult time of year to find something scary to watch that won't produce nightmares. Welcome to Binge TV, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 best psychological thriller movies to watch this Halloween. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for more great videos like today. Without further ado, let's begin. 10th place, Midsommar. Psychology student Danny Arder is left traumatized after her sister Terry kills herself and their parents by filling their home with carbon monoxide. Things get difficult between Danny and her boyfriend after the incident, who is a cultural anthropology student, Christian Hughes. After a few months, Christian and his friends Mark and Josh have been invited by their Swedish friend Pelle to attend a midsummer celebration at his ancestral commune, the Harga. The celebration occurs once every 90 years, and Josh, also an anthropology student, wants to write his thesis on European midsummer festivities. Christian wants to break up with Danny, but before leaving her, he invites her along after she finds out about it. They meet Simon and Connie, a couple from London, who were invited by Pelle's communal brother Ingemar. He offers the group psychedelic mushrooms. The group witnesses an Attribution where two elders commit suicide by jumping from a nearby cliff onto a stone platform. When one of the elders survives the fall, the commune members mimic his wails of agony and crush his skull with a hammer. Commune elder Siv attempts to calm Simon and Connie, explaining that every member of their community does this at age of 72. Disturbed by the Attribution, Danny attempts to leave, but Pelle convinces her to stay. That night, Josh secretly photographs the commune's sacred runic texts, but is dragged away by someone wearing a skin mask of Mark's face. 9th place, Wrath of Man. An armored truck is robbed by heavily armed men dressed as construction workers. 2 guards and a civilian are killed during the robbery. 5 months after the robbery, a mysterious man named Patrick Hill applies to VERTIGO security. In his interview, Terry commends him for his references and warns him of the fatal robbery. Hill is then introduced to the company trainer Hayden, known as Bullet, who nicknames him H and oversees his training and tests. Hill passes the tests, meeting the bare minimum requirements, and gets off to a rocky start. On his first official day, Hill, Boy Sweat, and Bullet are assigned to the truck. While driving to the pickup, Boy Sweat tells Hill more about the robbery, revealing that he was supposed to drive the vehicle but that day had called in sick. After the pickup, Bullet is taken hostage by gunmen. The robbers radio Dave and Hill and demand the $2 million left in their truck. Boy Sweat panics, trying to remember what protocol is in this situation, ultimately determining they should drive away without Bullet. Hill convinces him to comply and try to save Bullet. Hill exits the truck and quickly disposes of the gunman with expert marksmanship. 8th place, Rear Window. Recovering from a broken leg, photographer L.B. Jeffries is confined to a wheelchair in his apartment in Manhattan. His rear window looks out onto a courtyard and other apartments. He watches his neighbors, who keep their windows open to stay cool. A lonely woman who Miss Torso, a middle-aged couple whose small dog likes digging in the flower garden, and Lars Thorwald, a traveling costume jewelry salesman with a bedridden wife. Jeff is visited regularly by his girlfriend Lisa Fremont and a nurse named Stella. One night after an argument with Lisa, Jeff is alone in his apartment and hears a woman scream, "Don't!" and the sound of breaking glass. Later that night, during a thunderstorm, he observes Thorwald making repeated late-night trips carrying a suitcase. The next morning, Jeff notices that Thorwald's wife is gone and sees him cleaning a large knife and handsaw. Jeff becomes convinced that Thorwald has murdered his wife and shares this with Lisa and Stella, who believe him when they observe Thorwald acting suspiciously. 7th place, Black Swan. Nina Sayers is a 28-year-old who lives with her overprotective mother Erica and dances with a New York City ballet company. The company is opening the season with Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. The director, Thomas Leroy, announces he is looking for a new dancer for the dual roles of the White Swan Odette and the Dark Black Swan Odile. Nina auditions for the roles and gives a flawless performance as Odette, but fails to embody Odile. Nina sees the cast list and discovers to her surprise she has received the lead roles. Nina hears Beth was hit by a car. Thomas believes Beth was attempting to commit suicide. Nina visits an unconscious Beth in the hospital and sees that her legs have been seriously injured, meaning that she will not be able to perform as a ballet dancer again. Thomas tells Nina to observe a newcomer, Lily, who has a physical resemblance to Nina. Nina hallucinates a doppelganger more and more frequently and finds scratch marks on her own back. One night, Nina accepts Lily's invitation to go out for drinks. Lily offers Nina an ecstasy capsule, saying it would help her relax. 6th place, Disturbia. Troubled by the sudden death of his father in a car accident, Cale Brecht punches his teacher, who invokes his father while reprimanding him at school. Cale is sentenced by a judge to 3 months under house arrest with an ankle monitor and a proximity sensor. Cale enjoys his time at home, watching television and playing video games, but his mother Julie soon cuts his cable and internet access. Cale's boredom leads him to watch his neighbor Robert Turner. One night, Cale becomes suspicious of Turner after he returns home in a 1960s Ford Mustang with a dented fender, which matches the description of a car given on a news report of a serial killer at large. Cale befriends Ashley Carlson, and the pair begin to spy on Turner, along with Cale's best friend Ronnie. Cale asks Ashley to follow Turner to the supermarket so that Ronnie can break into Turner's car to get the code of the garage controller. Caught and intimidated by Turner at the parking, Ashley quits spying on Turner, to Cale's disappointment. Ronnie realizes he left his phone in Turner's car and breaks into Turner's house with Cale watching at a distance. While inside, Ronnie gets trapped when the garage door closes. Cale attempts to rescue him but alerts the police upon leaving his property with the ankle monitor. The police arrive and search the garage and find nothing but a bag containing a roadkill deer. 5th place, The Shining. Jack Torrance takes a winter caretaker position at the remote Overlook Hotel in the Rocky Mountains, which closes every winter season. Manager Stewart reveals that a previous caretaker, Charles Grady, killed his family and himself in the hotel. In Boulder, Jack's son Danny has a seizure. Jack's wife Wendy tells the doctor about a past incident when Jack dislocated Danny's shoulder during a drunken rage. Before leaving for the seasonal break, head chef Dick Halloran informs Danny of a telepathic ability the two share. Halloran tells Danny the hotel also has a shine due to residues from unpleasant past events and warns him to avoid room 237. Danny starts having frightening visions. Meanwhile, Jack dreams of killing his family. Danny gets physically bruised after visiting an unlocked room 237 out of curiosity. Jack encounters a female ghost in the room, but blames Danny for self-inflicting the bruises. Staying sober ever since hurting Danny, Jack is enticed back to drinking by the ghostly bartender Lloyd. Wendy finds Jack's manuscript with "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy" written over and over again. When Jack threatens her life, Wendy knocks him unconscious with a baseball bat and locks him in the kitchen pantry. 4th place, Hush. Maddie Young is a deaf horror author who lost her ability to hear and speak after contracting bacterial meningitis at age 13. From the disease, she suffered permanent hearing loss and temporary vocal cord paresis, which had become permanent after unsuccessful surgery. Hoping to advance her writing career following her publishing release of Midnight Mass and receiving international critical acclaim, she leaves New York City and lives an isolated life in the woods with her cat. Her friend Sarah visits her one evening to return a copy of her book. Later that night, a masked killer with a crossbow attacks Sarah and chases her to Maddie's house. A bloodied Sarah bangs on the door shouting for help. She goes unnoticed by Maddie, and the man stabs Sarah to death. The man quickly deduces that Maddie is deaf and decides to make her another victim. He sneaks into her house and steals her phone, which he then uses to take pictures of her and send them to her. Maddie realizes she is being stalked and tries to call the police, but the man cuts the power and punctures the tires on her car to prevent escape. Maddie writes, "Won't tell, didn't see face, boyfriend coming home" on the glass panel door with her lipstick. 3rd place, Get Out. A photographer, Chris Washington, is reluctant as he prepares to meet the family of his white girlfriend, Rose Armitage. At the Armitage house, Rose's brother Jeremy and their parents, neurosurgeon Dean and hypnotherapist Missy, make disturbing comments about black people. When Chris is unable to sleep, Missy pressures him into a hypnotherapy session to cure his smoking addiction. In a trance, he expresses guilt over his mother's death in a hit-and-run when he was a child, and sinks into a void Missy calls the sunken place. At the Armitage's annual get-together, Jim Hudson, a blind art dealer, takes interest in Chris's photography skills. Chris meets another black man, Logan King, who behaves strangely and is married to a much older white woman. Chris tries to photograph Logan, but when his flash goes off, Logan becomes hysterical, shouting at Chris to get out. Second place, The Guilty. LAPD officer Joe Baylor is working the night shift at a 911 call center when he receives a call from a young woman named Emily Lighton, who reveals she has been abducted and is traveling in a van. Joe relays the information to the California Highway Patrol, but they are unable to locate the van. Joe calls Emily's home phone and speaks with her 6-year-old daughter Abby, who tells Joe that her mom left the house with her dad, Henry Fisher. After getting Henry's cell phone number from Abby, Joe retrieves the van's plate number, which he relays to the CHP. He also sends a patrol car to check on Abby and her baby brother, Oliver. Joe learns Henry has a record of assault. He calls Henry and demands to know where he is taking Emily, but Henry hangs up. Joe then calls his former partner Rick, who is off duty, and asks him to visit Henry's house. Rick expresses concern about Joe's hearing, at which he is set to provide testimony. Joe receives a panicked call from Abby when 2 officers arrive at her home. He instructs her to let them in. The officers notice blood on Abby and, upon searching the property, find Oliver in the bedroom, either gravely injured. Joe then calls Emily back and convinces her to pull the handbrake of the van, which she does, but it fails to crash the vehicle. Henry puts Emily into the back of the van. She tearfully tells Joe that she believed Oliver had snakes in his stomach and that she took them out. Before we get to number 1 on our list, here's a list of some honorable mentions.
I don't want to die. There's so much inside me. She says I must die.
It's a cinch. I look up.
We are duly appointed federal marshal.
But during your stay, you will obey protocol.
Doctor.
So this female prisoner, Rachel Solando, escaped sometime in the last 24 hours.
He's a stranger. We're just gonna let him sleep in our house.
Hello?
Hello? He has pictures of you in his luggage.
What were you doing in their luggage?
How's that working out for you?
But he called me a rapist when I defended someone charged with murder. The Constitution doesn't have an asterisk at the end that says terms and conditions.
A teacher once told me I was the mistress of self-reinvention.
Tell me where you were Friday night.
I was in the city, and then I went to visit my husband.
Where is she?
Why not?
Because she doesn't look at me like everybody else, and I don't want her to. I don't want her to know.
Know what? Jean,
Yes, Patrick?
would you like to accompany me to dinner? That's a wonderful suit. You look so soft.
As y'all know, my wife, Amy Elliott Dunn.
Stay back, everybody stay back.
What does I Got 5 on it mean?
It's about drugs.
It's not about drugs, it's a dope song.
Can't believe how big they've got.
Did you hear Gabe got a boat?
First place, Silence of the Lambs. In 1990, Clarice Starling is pulled from her FBI training at the Quantico, Virginia FBI Academy by Jack Crawford of the Bureau's Behavioral Science Unit. He assigns her to interview Hannibal Lecter, a former psychiatrist and cannibalistic serial killer. Crawford believes Lecter's insight could prove useful in the pursuit of a psychopath serial killer nicknamed Buffalo Bill, who kills young women and removes their skin from their bodies. Dr. Frederick Chilton makes a crude pass at Starling before he escorts her to Lecter's cell. Lecter grows impatient with Starling's interviewing and rebuffs her. Lecter tells her to seek out his old patient. This leads her to a storage facility where she discovers a jar containing a man's severed head. She returns to Lecter, who says the man is linked to Buffalo Bill. He offers to profile Buffalo Bill on a condition he is transferred away from Chilton, whom he detests. Another Buffalo Bill victim is found with a death's head moth lodged in her throat. So what are your thoughts on these psychological thriller movies? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, make sure to leave us a like, share this video with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time for more.